Hello, hello. Welcome. It is Tu B'Shvat today, and here we are in the Holy Land in Jerusalem. But wherever you are, this flow is to help you connect to the land of Israel. Because when we partake in the 7 species of Israel, when we say a blessing, when we eat the fruit, we are reconnecting with the Holy Land. And actually, it says in Kabbalah that all the fruit in the world is blessed through the land of Israel. So wherever you are this Tu B'Shvat, we are in the process of becoming re-embodied, because the land of Israel is related to the body. Where the Jewish nation is the soul, and the land is like our body. And when we were exiled from our land, we became disembodied, and we had to preserve our Judaism, and it became like dry fruits versus fresh fruits, right? Fresh fruits are sweet and luscious and pleasurable and juicy, but they don't last so long. And so if we go into exile, we need to like dry our fruits, so to speak. And this is a mashal brought down by Rav Kook. So Jews out of Israel, or Judaism out of Israel, is like the dry fruits. It needs to preserve itself, but in doing so, a lot of like life is lost for the sake of preservation. So as Jews are reconnecting to the Holy Land, we are becoming more embodied, just like we have a process of coming back into our bodies after some sort of disconnect or sickness. So let's just enjoy this flow, and we'll begin by bringing both hands onto the body. So it says that when we bless bread, we put all 10 fingers to bless the bread, because all 10 fingers represent the 10 sefirot. So let's bring those hands onto our body, connecting to the first 2 species, which is the wheat and the barley. And Chassidus teaches that wheat and barley represent the animal soul and the godly soul. So tuning in to both of these parts of ourself, the wheat and the barley. So asking ourselves, have I nourished my animal? Have I taken care of my body? And the animal soul is not less than, it's not a negative aspect of self. It's just another part of us that needs to be nourished equally. So how am I relating to the animal within? And then contemplating our wheat side, our godly soul. Have I dined with the divine today? Have I nourished that transcendent spark within me? Breathing into the hands, breathing into both aspects of self. Just going to check on the video here. All right. Deepen your breath. And all the fruits stem from these 2 foundational species of wheat and barley, which also corresponds to Chesed and Gevurah. So let's bring the right arm is Chesed, over the left, backs of hands together or clap them together. Protrude the elbows forward and raise them up as the gaze lifts, highlighting the right arm. And the right arm corresponds to loving kindness, which is the wheat Just like wheat nourishes the people, wheat grows and expands and rises. Like when we bake challah, it is the aspect of giving, of opening. So the right arm extends with kindness. And let's circle towards the right. So rolling out the low back. And Tu B'Shvat celebrates this cyclical nature of the world. We are not a linear people, but we follow the cycles, the seasonal rhythms, just like the circles within the tree. We're always growing and continuously moving around with the seasons and up, progressing. And we'll come back to center. Gently rock to the left, keeping both sit bones planted. And when you can't go any further without compromising that right sit bone, left hand comes to the side, right arm reaches up and over. Big side body stretch towards that whole right side of Chesed. And actually a Kabbalah teaching is when one would like to pray for more Chesed, more love and kindness in their life, a simple gesture towards the right actually brings about the right side, which is more Chesed. So we can gesture to the right and gaze to the right, and the right is also the side, the element of water. So visualizing fluidity and a water-like softness as we pray for more Chesed to enter into our hearts. We'll come back to center. Sweep the left hand high, right arm under the left, backs of palms clap together, or the palms, and press the elbow points forward. And then lift your gaze as the left arm here is highlighted. The left arm corresponds to the barley, which is Gevurah. And Gevurah is often translated as restraint or strength, strictness. And I've come to see it as a sustained reverence. It's that sense of awe. We can't have love without awe. These are both equally important in a relationship. So the balance of the right side of love and the left side of boundaries is really important in having a balanced relationship. And we'll circle to the left, rounding through the center. It's actually the full moon, so we are guided by these bright circular lights. And we'll rock towards the right, keeping the left sit bone planted, and then sweep the right arm to the side, left fingertips up and over, soften the shoulder down, and the Kabbalistic meditation to bring in more Gevurah is a simple gesture or gaze to the left. Even a tilt of the head, says Rav Pinson, while praying for Gevurah, gazing at the left side draws that into our life. So the left side also is the element of fire. So whereas love is like water, Gevurah is like fire, and we need that passion, that channeling of our love in a direction So keep stretching long. And this side is represented through barley. Just like Gavura is strong, barley has a strong husk around it. And whereas wheat grows outwards, barley grows up and climbs higher and higher with direction, with focus. Nice. We'll lift back up to center. And both love and fear, it says in Tanya, are the wings of every deed. So let's sweep the hands up. Inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. 3 times like this. Integrating both wheat and barley, both the animal and godly soul, both the chesed and gevura into our being. Hands to heart center. And slowly roll onto your back. Now, if you have a block in hand's reach, bring that close to you. Otherwise, if you don't, it's not necessary. So let's keep the soles of the feet on the mat, knees collapsing in towards each other. Open the wings of the arms nice and long. And we'll follow the awareness, starting on the right fingertips, drawing in the chesed, which is the palm and the full length of the arm. So bringing it from the fingertips over the palms and wrists, up to the elbows, arm bones, shoulder, over the right chest, meeting in the centermost point of the heart. And then coming from the left side of Gavura, awareness of the fingertips, over the fingers, palms, wrists, up to the elbows, shoulder, over the chest, and meeting in that line of the heart, the sternum, the great merging of the right and left side, meeting here at the heart space. This is Tiferet. And the seat of Tiferet is the heart, but actually extends the whole length of the torso. Tiferet is this harmony of both the expansive and contractive energies. The right, the masculine, and the left, the feminine. It's this beauty when 2 colors are mixed together and you get such a gorgeous color. That is Tiferet. So meeting here at the heart center, let's take the block and bring it under the hips to a supported bridge pose. If you don't have a block, an active bridge pose is great also. Highlighting the center of the heart, which is represented by the grapes. And grapes hang actually in a shape of a heart. If you look at the clump of grapes, they often fall in a heart shape. And each grape represents a red blood cell. So Tiferet is responsible for the muscular system in the body. And the most important muscle is the heart. Torah teaches wine gladdens a person's heart. So feeling that sense of joy in the heart, traveling through the whole torso. Now, if you're ready for it, go ahead and take a full wheel pose to really accentuate the grapes, the heart center. Otherwise, remove the block and just come into an active bridge pose, interlacing the right and left hands under you, the great merging of right and left, meeting at this embrace of the palms, pressing the tops of the arms into the ground as you raise and open the heart and torso. A few more breaths here. Rabbi Nachman teaches the main place of joy is in the heart. Squeeze the glutes as you lift up, and then exhale. Roll the spine down on the mat, vertebrae by vertebrae, like a nice massage. And then bring the hands under the thighs, and let's just rock up and down, massaging the spine, bringing some movement, some life into the back body. And we'll rock up to a seated. And then roll over to all fours, plant palms into the mat. And let's again visualize that right arm from the shoulder into the palm, pressing through the sole of the hands, this element of chesed. What we give to the world, our outward expression. And then the left arm from the left shoulder down the arm into the palm, gevura, barley. And this is more of an inwards focus. It's instead of going outward, it's going deep. And balancing between these two arms is the torso, the heart. So almost visualizing grapes on a vine just hanging from the heart space, a gentle sway right and left as we see this balance of Tiferet. And it's not always stable. Sometimes we're more to the right, sometimes we're more to the left. There's more strictness, sometimes there's more love and giving, and it's a constant readjustment, constantly finding new balance. Go ahead and move the body here in any directions, circular movements, cat and cow, whatever feels good to you. And also in the Torah, it talks about when God found the Jewish people in the desert, it was as if someone found grapes in the desert. So imagine a dry, empty expanse, and then you find luscious purple or green sweet grapes. How pleasurable, how pleasant, how exciting. That is how God felt when he found the Jewish people in the desert. So it's a sweet, sweet analogy, a sweet visual. Rolling out through the hips, feeling good here. Finding nice deep breaths. And we'll tuck the toes. We'll lift the hips up and back as you sink the heels. And just roll out the hips here, bending the knees and straightening them as you make little circles, hand pedaling out the feet, deepening into this pose however feels good to you. And actually, Tu B'Shvat celebrates this idea that right now when we eat fruit, we just taste it with our taste buds. The pleasure is just in our mouth. But in the world to come, the tasting of fruit will be experienced with the whole body. The pleasure will just spread through the whole body. This is a Kabbalistic insight, and we actually have a taste of that through our experiences, that we can expand the pleasure from just one sense and really let it seep the whole body. So let this pose, let these movements feel good, bring sweetness and joy to your sensations. We'll start by bringing the left foot into the center of the mat. Inhale, lift the right leg high, bend the knee and open the hip. Go ahead and roll that ankle out, gazing to the right side of Chesed, bringing more love into our life. And then level out the hips, gaze forward and step the foot to the right hand. So we're coming into a wide stance. Draw the left heel down. Inhale, warrior one, hands to the sky, lift the gaze. Exhale, hands to the hips. We're stepping forward with the right leg, symbolizing Netzach. Netzach is from the right hip all through the right leg. So any chesed from the right arm is actualized and moves forward through the right leg of Netzach. Netzach means endurance. It means victory. It is our confidence. It is our stomping forwards. It's like the victory march. And Netzach is represented through the species of figs. So sink a little deeper, accentuating that right leg. There's a parable in the Torah of a king who was sick, and they placed ripe figs all over him because figs in the Torah represent longevity. And this is Netzach. It's our endurance. It's our ability to find stamina, to work. And of course, we need this in yoga through our vinyasa flows, through our commitment of practice. Let's wave the hands in circles a few times. And then float the hands down to the mat. Sink the hips. Come onto the ball of the back foot, reaching the heart forward. Find that victory through the eyesight. Finding your vision, your focus. What are you marching towards? And then straighten the front leg, coming into pyramid pose as the torso lengthens over that right leg. Keep pressing down through the right foot. And then crown reaches for that right foot. Hug the right hip in, feeling that nice long expanse of the right leg. And bend the right knee, this time bringing the left knee down onto the mat, sinking the hips as the heart reaches forward. And then exhale, walk the hands back, pulling the right heel towards the right hip. So figs have the longest ripening period also in Israel, representing that longevity, that endurance. And another analogy, let's walk the hips forward, lifting the heart, is just like one can shake a fig tree gradually. It's not, you don't pick figs all at once, it's a gradual process. When you shake a fig tree, you'll always find figs. So too, every time we learn Torah, we glean more wisdom, more insight. It's not like one and done. You're always shaking off a little bit from the fig tree. So slide the knee back and lower the heart towards the mat. Hug the elbows in. Lower the tops of the thighs and tops of the feet. Inhale, cobra, as the heart reaches forward. Eyes on the prize. And then tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. Let's keep that theme of Netzach going on the other side. So inhale, left leg lifts, bend the knee, open the hip, roll out the ankle, gaze to the sky. And level out the hips as you kick back. Gaze forward, step the foot to the left hand. Right heel lowers. Stamp both feet into the mat. Hug left hip in. Inhale, rise. Gaze to the sky, palms together. Exhale, hands to the hips. Sink a little deeper. And circle the arms here. Inhaling up and exhaling over the heart. Beautiful. Last one. And hands to the hips. Where in life can I cultivate more confidence? Where in life could I use more endurance? This is the question of Netzach. So pour the hands down, sink the hips as the heart and gaze rock forward. And then lift the hips up and back, right heel to the mat. Straighten both legs as your torso lengthens down that left leg. Shoulders away from the ears. Find your deep belly breaths. Nice. And bend back into that left foot. Soften the right knee down, top of the foot to the mat. Walk the hand back, lengthen over the leg. Pull the left heel towards the left hip as you curl the toes towards you. And we'll walk it forward, sinking the hips. Slide the knee back, lower to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hips up and back. Sink and settle into the moment. So this aspect of Netzach, of endurance, is so crucial to our yoga practice. It's not just about feeling good, it's about showing up day after day, even when we don't feel good, onto our mat and practice. And that is when we actually move forward. So from the fig side, now we're going to move to the next sphira of Hod. So inhale, left leg lifts. So same side here.
gaze forward, step it through, back to warrior one, but we'll be adding on here. So find your footing, stand through the left foot, inhale, hands to the sky, and exhale, interlace the hands behind you, squeeze shoulder blades together, left knee floats over the heel. We're setting up for this left leg of Hod, which is majesty. It's a surrender. It is serenity represented by the pomegranate, the rimon. So from here, we'll bow forward into humble warrior. Whereas Netzach is going forward and confidence, this left side of Hod is humility, is a sweet softening. It is a majestic glow like the pomegranate. So where in life are we pushing too hard when we can slow down and surrender? Inhale to lift up through that left foot, and then point the toes, bringing both edges of the feet parallel. So whereas the pomegranate is the Hod, the top of the pomegranate is this beautiful crown. And it is said that the Star of David is inspired by the crown of the pomegranate. So let's circle the hands above us, fingertips touch, creating this orb of light around our crown, our Keter. And this is actually the Sphira of the month of Shvat, is Keter. Keter is our will. It is where the divine pleasure, the Tainug, comes from. So from here, we'll come into the six-pointed star inspired by the crown of the pomegranate. So reaching with our right arm of chesed, drawing in love and kindness, and then reaching to the left, which is our gevura, our strength, and then right leg, squeezing it in, netzach, endurance, and the left side of Hod, a soft serenity, pulling it all into the center. And then circle the arms again, coming back into our crown. Left toes point forward, sink the hips into a warrior two with this lifted crown. So whereas the hips to the soles of the feet are descending, the hips to the fingertips are rising all the way past the crown. And the pomegranate has a really hard shell. So let's peel open the top layer to the left, open the palm, and peel the back of the arm, revealing the sweet, juicy seeds of the crown top. So reaching, extending upward through the crown, and then float the right hand down, left fingertips reach up and over. Extend nice and long through that side body. Nice, we'll lift it back up, circle the arms again, top of the foot forward, and then rock the torso forward, fingertips stay together, and then extend them down towards the mat. Hips lower, inhale the heart forward. Exhale, lift the hips, pyramid pose. Rooting through that right foot, hugging the left hip in. And then bend back into the left leg. Right knee lowers, walk it back. And to the front of the mat. Slide it back. Hug elbows together as you lower to the earth. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, hips up and back. So this pomegranate was an ancient symbol of healing. It was even engraved at the entrance to the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. It's often a symbol of Israel. It is one of the most cherished and glorified fruits. So inhale, right leg lifts to the sky. Exhale, step it to the right hand. Left heel lowers. Inhale, hands to the sky. Exhale, interlace the hands behind you. Open the heart. And humble warrior, send it down. So the pomegranate is said to have 613 seeds. The average, if you look it up, is 600, but our sages say 613. And it represents this aspect of humility because even when we don't feel like it's tzaddik, we do extra mitzvahs. We go out and do good deeds. We surpass our current spiritual state. And that's what the surplus of the seeds represent. It's when we go beyond our nature and we do excess deeds of goodness, just like the seeds of the pomegranate. Inhale, let's lift on up. Bring both edges of the feet forward, so nice and linear. This also applies to yoga. We often don't feel like a yogi. We don't feel healthy or in a state of good shape, but we get on the mat anyways and practice and surpass our current state. And that's the lesson of the pomegranate. Even if we don't feel like it, we do it anyways, and we bring more goodness into the world. And it comes from humility, because it's not about me and my state. It's about doing and the actions that bring about goodness in the world. Release the hands, circle them above you into your Keter. The ability to experience pleasure comes from this divine sphera of will and desire. And when we peel back the layers, let's open into star. When we peel back the layers of any desire, we come back to the primordial desire, the very root of all desires, which is our desire to serve our Creator, to serve the world, to serve others. And Hashem even created the world through this divine desire to give. So bring the hands back into your crown, right toes forward, sink the hips into warrior two. So let's unpeel the layers and reveal that sweet, majestic crown. Right arm peels in the front, open. Left arm peels behind you. Look how beautiful and majestic you are, your crown reaching, growing, shining. And then send the left hand down. Right arm reaches up and over. Open through the whole side body. The pomegranate is the queen of all fruits. And then lift back up into your circle. Come forward to the ball of the back foot. Torso rocks forward, fingertips in front of you, and then send the hands down. Sink the hips, gaze forward, like you're gazing at a beautiful pomegranate tree. When you look at a pomegranate, what arises within you? What does the fruit represent to the world? With all of its color and shape, texture, and majesty. Let's lift the hips, pyramid pose. So we're balancing the strength of Netzach with the softness of Hod. Bend back into the knee, lower left knee to the mat. Walk the hands back, lengthen the right leg. Exhale to the front. Slide the knee back. Lower to the earth, the Adamah. Letting the earth nourish the whole front body, the soil, the soul of the ground seeping into you. And then inhale, cobra or full upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog. Find your deep breaths. Actually, the rectification this month of eating, of taste, we really are able to refine it when we learn to breathe. Because before we eat, before we even bless, we take a breath. We breathe in life on the inhale, and with the exhale, we say our blessing with kavana, with intention, and then we eat. So when we can cultivate that breath of awareness on the mat, we can begin to bring it into the other areas of our life, specifically this month at our tables. So we're not breathing nicely on our mat, but at the table jumping at our food like an animal, which I'm definitely guilty of. So it starts now. Let's lower the knees to the mat. And we'll bring the block that you had before. If you don't have it, you can sit on your heels. Or you can open the heels and sit down on the earth. If you have a block, bring it under you. So the tops of the feet are pressing into the earth. Hands can come onto the tops of the thighs. Close the eyes and drop our awareness center from the legs, the Netzach and the Hod, into the low pelvis. So we're coming into the Sphira of Yesod, represented by the olive. And Yesod is technically the male reproductive organ, but we can connect to the energy of it through the low pelvis, through the pelvic floor, so drawing in the muscles of the pelvic floor, activating our root, known as Yesod. So just like the olive represents peace, right? The olive branch, the dove carrying the olive branch, we see that image in our minds. Yesod is peace because it is a union. It is the seat of the reproductive body. So whereas we spoke about the Tiferet being the muscular system, Yesod is the reproductive system, and it's the sense of bonding, of intimacy. So thinking about our relationships, what am I bonded to? And even if it's not with someone else, within myself, am I able to unify two parts of myself? What is my foundation? Hmm. So let's take the right elbow and bring it up and over while we're here, keeping that awareness at the low pelvis. Left arm hugs the right elbow in, and the olives are really a sensual experience. We used olive oil in the anointing, and it's really connected with this month because the tribe of Shvat is Asher, and Asher was blessed with an abundance of olives because olives are like the luscious, fatty foods. It is not necessary for anything, but it brings extra flavor and nourishment and taste. So it represents affluence, which is why Asher is related to the word Ashirus for affluence. It's like an abundant energy. And on Tu B'Shvat, we don't just eat like basic foods. We eat these sensual foods. We drink wine. We dine with pleasure. And that's what the olive represents. It's our pleasure center. So let's switch sides, bend that left elbow, hold onto it, and press the left palm over the top of the back. And coming down to the low pelvis where it meets the block. And the affirmation of Yesod is, I matter. I matter. I matter enough to eat tasteful fruits. We never eat fruits from a place of lack, right? If you don't have, you eat basic foods. If you have and you're full, you're going to a place of joy, you eat fruits. It's never from a place of lack. It comes from a place of wholeness. So I matter. I matter enough to eat luscious fruits. I matter to have deep relationships. I matter. I deserve to experience divine pleasure in this world. Let's release the hands down. You can keep the block there or remove it and come into a squat. So what is blocking me from truly experiencing pleasure? Perhaps we're blocking ourselves from experiencing the pleasures in this world. And it's not an egotistical pleasure because Tu B'Shvat is about experiencing divine pleasure. When we eat fruit but realize the source of the fruit is really holy sparks from the divine, we are, so to speak, putting the tree back on the tree of life. We're not taking from the tree of knowledge. We are actually letting the tree of life express through us just through realizing the source and the bounty of the pleasures in the world. So let's bring the feet parallel, interlace the hands, press them forward, and we're starting to rise like a date palm, activating the power of the legs, pressing the palms to the sky, perhaps growing tall onto the toes, and then exhaling hands to the side. It says that the tzaddik grows like a date palm because a tzaddik never stops progressing, never stops learning. They just grow, and we never stop. That is the lesson of the tzaddik, and the date palm is the tallest tree with a cedar. So let's do that a few times, pressing the palm forward, growing like a date palm, and exhaling hands to the side. The date palm is symbolized by the Tamar, by Malchut. Malchut is kingship or queenship. And the channel of Malchut is from the mouth. Let's bring palms to the side. It's a channel from the mouth over the uterus and down through the soles of the feet. And it runs over the digestive system. So Malchut is the digestive system and represented with the Tamar. And just like a king unifies the people, or the purpose of a queen is also to unify the people. The stickiness of dates unifies all the substances and brings it together. So within ourselves, Malchut is that great unifier. So stand here as we unify those aspects of self. It also says the date palm has roots in the water and its head is in the fire. So again, that aspect of unifying from the soles of the feet up to the mouth. And just like the date is the seventh sphira, Malchut is the seventh sphira, Shabbat is the seventh, is beloved, and it receives all the blessings of the week. So Malchut is that feminine receiver that receives everything from above her in order to birth anew. So that's why the soles of the feet actually give birth to the whole world beneath it. And from here, we will roll out the ankle. Tu B'Shvat is when the seraph, the nectar, begins to rise up through the tree, sweetening the tree and bringing new life. So just imagine that warm sweetness rising through the right leg, the knee, into the hip, and up the side body into the right shoulder, elbow, wrists, and fingertips. And Tu B'Shvat celebrates this resurrection from the death of winter towards the warmth and renewal of spring. So even though we can't see it, it might be snowing where you are, we know that deep within there's stirrings, there's an inner awakening of the sap, rising and restoring the energy within you. Nice. Let's bring both hands to the hips. Rise the right sole of foot into a tree pose of your choice. So you can come above the knee, below the knee. You can even come to an open foot tree pose. And bring the hands to the heart center. And reviewing all of the species, if you could be any fruit tree, what would you be? So we spoke about the wheat and the barley, the figs of Netzach, the pomegranate of Hod, the olives of Yesod, and the tamar, the dates of Malchut. So if you could be any tree, what would you be? And I forgot to mention, but it's such a beautiful acronym. The word for date, tamar, stands for Terufat Moshe Rabbeinu, the medicine of Moshe, our teacher. And what is the medicine? The medicine is the sweetness. It is the unification. So find that in your tree. What fruit would you be? Just imagine yourself growing that fruit, giving it out into the world. And draw the hands to the heart. Extend the right leg behind you, coming into a brief warrior 3. So the torso is level with the mat. Imagining those grapes hanging off your vine. Top of the thigh faces downwards. And then step it back into a high lunge. Bring the left hand onto the hip. Reach nice and tall through the right arm. Exhale, bring it down. And then rotate towards that left side. And then extend the left arm high. We'll wave the arm in nice big circles. extending the branches. Nice. Bring the hand back to the mat. Go ahead and chaturanga or move however you wish, and we'll meet in downward dog. Walk the hands back towards the toes. Bend the knees, forward fold, swaying right and left. Connecting to the element of the month, which is Avir. Your breath is the wind, swaying your tree gently right and left. And inhale, rolling up slowly with Kavana. Inhaling the hands to the sky. And exhaling, hands to the side. And we'll roll out through that left side. Imagining that saraf, that sweetness lifting into your tree. Anything jaded within you, anything cold from the winter, we're inviting in this warm sap. Bring it up through the elbow and wrists and fingertips. And then walk to the front of your mat. Slide the sole of the foot into your tree pose. Hands to the heart. And go ahead and wave your branches, letting the tree of life express through you. And actually, before the sin in Gan Eden, it wasn't just that the fruit tasted sweet and the tree, the bark, was not edible, but the whole tree, the bark, the branches, the seeds, everything was edible. Now we're in a state of disconnect, of duality. There's the process and there's the product. But when we return to the tree of life mentality, the whole process is just as nourishing and sweet as the product. So we're moving away from product-oriented processing to enjoying the whole process, from seed to bark to branch to fruit. And that's why we practice yoga, right? No one practices, well, I won't say no one, but we don't practice just for the end result, just for the strength or for the health benefits or the flexibility. But most of us, when we get deeper into our yoga practice, we actually enjoy the whole experience. And how can we bring that also into our work, also into our personal lives, so we're not just trying to get somewhere, but we're enjoying the sweetness each breath along the way. So from tree pose at the front of your mat, send to the left leg behind you. Right hands, bring palms together towards the heart. Point the left toe behind you. Torso is level. Enjoying the process. It's not about just getting to Shavasana or checking it off your list, but it's enjoying this moment. Step the left foot behind you into a high lunge. Right hand to the hip. Extend the left arm to the sky. And then send it down. Rotate the torso to the left, rolling the right shoulder on top of the left. And then extend the right arm high to the sky. And go ahead, roll out the wrist or make nice big circles. like we're painting the full moon. Bring both hands to the top of the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here, enjoying the sweetness, the pleasure filling through your body. And we'll plant the left foot in the center of the mat. We'll take 3 big, wide circles with the hips. So point the right toe, lift it up behind you, bring it to the side, and slide it in. 2 more like that, keeping the hips level. Nice. And plant the right foot down, other side. Left toes rise, bring it to the left, slide it in. 2 more circles. And we'll jump to the front of your mat, crossing the heels. Extend the right leg in front of you. Turn the belly towards the right leg. Inhale, sweep the hands up. And exhale, hands down. So we're coming into another tree pose position right here. You can see the legs are like in tree. And we're flexing the sole of the foot. So we're like planting, imagine planting your roots into the ground through the right sole of foot. Of course, we're celebrating the trees today, so as many tree poses as we can get. And that was the main difference between the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. There were really one tree. The only difference was that the tree of life had roots. It was connected to the supernal source. And the tree of knowledge was disconnected from its roots. So by rooting, by remembering our source, by connecting with our ancestors and our past, our traditions, we are returning to the tree of life and drawing sustenance from the tree of life. Slide the hands back up. Now take that left ankle, lift it up and place it over the leg. Rock onto the right outer hip as the right edge of heel plants into the mat. We'll lift the hips up, stay right here, or take that left hand, hold onto the left ankle, plant it in the inner thigh, side plank. Here's another tree pose. Lift through that right hip, extend the left arm high. If you want to go further, you can reach the fingertips behind you. And we're bringing that stickiness of dates here. So unifying that sole of foot into the inner thigh. Nice. Hands to the hips. Lower the right edge of the hip. Come back into your tree. And then simply switch to the other side. So roots through the left sole of foot. So it's open. Imagine we're extending roots into the ground. We're just in a seated here. And then inhale the hands up. And exhale, fold forward. Just like a tree, we have roots. We have a trunk. We have branches. And we have fruit. And when we can take all of these parts of ourself and unify them, we become a living tree of life. And the tree of life is actually all of the spherotes. together. And of course, as we've been practicing, the Sefirot are sourced in our body. And there are energetic centers in the body, but they really help us to connect and find unity within our being, because they're not isolated energy centers. It's not just chesed is chesed, gevura is gevura, but actually they all intermingle, they are all interconnected, which is why we have, for example, chesed sheba gevura, chesed sheba netzach, netzach sheba chod. All of them are intermingling. And the process here, it's not a hard science. It is a lens in which we can creatively find new channels in relationships to ourselves and to others and to the divine through these creative, spherotic energy centers. It's a good way to notice what's going on inside and what's going on in our relationships, and make those tiny tikkunim, those fixings, to really balance our energies out. So let's lift up here, bring the right foot over, roll onto the outer edge of the hip and the outer edge of the left foot, lift the hips up, stay right here or hold on to the right ankle and just set it on the inner thigh, tree pose in side plank. Extend the right arm high and then overhead. And the root of sphira is sapir, to illuminate. And that's what these sphirot are meant to do. They're to help us illuminate our being, because they are the way that God interacts with this world. It's through the lens, through the channels of the sphirot. So bring the sole of foot down, lower the hip, and then bend the right leg. So we're in this pretzel crisscross situation. Fold forward, rest the heart on the knees, and breathe onto the shelf here that you have created. And this pretzel type of shape reminds us that sometimes in life we have an imbalance. Sometimes there's more chesed, more gevura, and that's normal, that's okay. Sometimes we're more masculine, sometimes we're more in touch with our feminine. And they're all this intermingling, this rebalancing act. We'll lift up, bring the hands behind us, open the legs into a big wide straddle, and then switch other side. Fold forward. So just like the fruit of Tu B'Shvat bring us physical nourishing properties, they also bring us spiritual nourishing qualities. So we can balance out our sefirot through eating these fruit. How special is that? So if we want some more chesed in our life, today is the time to eat more wheat. If we want some more humility, we can eat some more pomegranate. If we want longevity, endurance, let's eat some more figs. It's a really special way to connect to the energies that Hashem planted here for us. And not everyone can say their tradition celebrates pleasure. So it's really an amazing holiday to celebrate pleasure, to drink wine, and to experience this lush nature of the world. We'll slide the hands behind you, extend both feet forward, flex the feet, inhale to lift. Exhale, hands interlace behind the feet, and drop over the legs, rolling forward, but gazing in. So when Adam and Chava ate from the tree of knowledge, we went from the oneness of the tree of life to this state of duality. And as we balance our own system, we actually restore the unity in the world. When we realize that we're eating from the tree of life, we remember the source of our blessings. We come back to this tree of life. We come back to Gan Eden. And then in Gan Eden, we experience a full pleasure through the whole body, not just our taste buds. Imagine tasting fruit with your whole body. Let's roll on up and roll to the back. Feeling the back body sinking deep into the earth. Feeling heavy and rooted and supported in the Adama beneath you. Receiving the nourishment of the ground, the soil, the soul of the earth. As we know, the awakening is happening right now beneath us. The sap is churning and rising. And whereas above ground there's plurality through all the branches, the word for shvat means shvatim, branches. So above the tree there is branches and plurality, but below the ground there's oneness, there's unity, as all the roots interconnect and communicate. So drawing life from the earth. And then the front body is more open to breathe and to give off precious sweet fruits. So contemplating what is your special fruit that you can give off to the world. What are you leaving behind? What is your offering and legacy? And we'll reawaken each species and really ingrain it and plant it in our body. So the right arm, chesed, the chesed of wheat, of expansion, of giving, of offering. And follow that all the way to the heart center. And the left arm of restraint, of boundaries, structure, inwards focus. This left arm of barley. Follow the arm all the way towards the heart center. Merging in our heart space of grapes, wine, goodness, joy. This Tiferet place of harmony and beauty. And those grapes, the Tiferet is the seat in the heart, but extending through the whole torso and coming to the low pelvis, which is the olives, the yesod, bonding, intimacy, union, and foundation. And from the right hip, extending all the way down through the right leg into the ankle. This is a netzach, our endurance, the figs, longevity, victory. And the left hip down all the way to the left ankle. This is our hod, majesty of the pomegranate, our sweet humility and surrender, acknowledgement and thankfulness. And then to the feet, we have Malchut, kingship, queenship, represented by the dates, the tamar, the medicine of the people, the seventh and cherished, the great receiver, also corresponding to the womb and the mouth, and washing our whole body with sweet awareness that all of these fruits are part of our body, the great tree of life. And let's extend the arms behind you like that nice long date palm. And we'll roll to the left and slowly come into a seated. Hands to the heart or to the knees. Really finding sweetness with all of our centers, because the fruit is our good deeds to the world and our mitzvahs and everything that is good. It's interesting on Tu B'Shvat that we don't celebrate, because it's the holiday of the trees. Why are we eating fruits? Why aren't we, hugging trees or touching the bark or something about the actual trunk? We're celebrating the fruit because the purpose of the tree is its offering, is its goodness. And we all have so many abundant offerings to the world. And as we eat the fruit, let's just remember how blessed we are, that we are blessed with ashirus, with affluence, that we can sit and eat fruits and drink wine. And can we continue this bounty by giving this blessing to others? So thank you for practicing. I so appreciate it. And have a bountiful and fruitful Tu B'Shvat.